Welcome to A Change of Heart podcast. I'm your host, Angel Walston. And in this space, we navigate life together. We ask the hard questions like, what is the truth you haven't told? But most importantly, we grow together. And sometimes that leads to a change of heart. Welcome back to another episode of A Change of Heart podcast. For anyone, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I'm Angel Walston, and I am a mindset coach and a content strategist. And so I help millennial women of faith how to gain clarity in their vision, a strategy that they can implement, and I teach them how to overcome mindsets that are keeping them from walking in their purpose. And today, we're going to be talking about one of those mindsets. We're going to be talking about procrastination, which I know we are all very familiar with. But before we do that, we're going to jump into today's question of the day. And the question is, what movie did not need a sequel? So we didn't need a part 2, we didn't need a part 3 or part 9, Fast and Furious. What movie did not need a sequel? So I was thinking about this. Actually, let's do 2 questions of the day. It's my podcast. I can do what I want. So what movie had the best sequel? And then what movie did not need a sequel? Best sequel? Bad Boys 2 was good. I think I like Bad Boys 2 more than I like Bad Boys, like the first one. And Best Man Holiday, whew, that thing. I went to the movies to see that by myself. And I remember sitting in that theater crying when Morris Chestnut's wife died. I can't even remember her name for some reason, but I was done for. Like, that was a very, very, very good sequel. Bring It On. I feel like it's like 15 of them. No one asked for that. The first one was really good, but it went downhill fast. Like, the rest of them didn't even come out to the movie theater. It just went like straight to DVD, Netflix or whatever, Redbox. But yeah, the Bring It On movies, we just needed that one. After that, wrap it up. And they're all the same. That's the other thing, is after the first one, the storyline is always the same for the most part. It's like, no one asked for that. You know how they have like the little reel thing where it's like, nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. It's like they copy and pasted the movie and was like, nobody's gonna know. No, we know. It's the same thing. Like, stop. We don't need that. I'm not a huge Fast and Furious fan. I've seen, I think, maybe 2 of them, if that, and I don't remember them, to be fully honest. So I'm not going to speak on that because I don't know if all 80, 50, 11 of them that they have made, if they're actually good or not. So I'm not going to speak on that. But y'all know the drill. If you are watching this on my YouTube channel, you can leave your response in the comment section. Let me know what movie had the best sequel, and then what movie we did not ask for this. We did not want this. So leave that in the comment section. Or if you are listening and you want to answer in my stories on Instagram at Angel C. Walston, put your answer in the question box there. All right, guys, so let's talk about procrastination. This is something that I have struggled with, and we're gonna deep dive. I told y'all this season is heavy on the healing, okay? We are going to heal some things. We are going to correct some things. We're gonna deal with the things, okay? So I posted this on my Instagram and Facebook, and apparently I chose violence, which I didn't realize that was what I was doing, although I kind of did. But I posted something that said procrastination is not simply a time management issue. And this was actually something I wanted to do I wanted to talk about this on the podcast prior to me even posting it on Instagram. But the feedback, the responses that I got was like, oh, we're going to talk about it. We're going to deal with this. We're going to address this, because I feel like a lot of times we can get so used to doing a behavior that we don't acknowledge that the behavior really is not the issue. And so in thinking about this idea of procrastination, I feel like a lot of times when you think of people who procrastinate, we are so quick to call them lazy, unmotivated, low effort, all of these different things. But can we talk about the mindset component? Can we talk about the mindset issue that is attached and associated with procrastination? Because it's not a time management issue, if we want to be honest. If it were simply just a time management issue, we could fix this. But majority of people who procrastinate, y'all know what we do. And I say we because I'm a part of this. We will go and we will buy a planner, we will buy our sticky notes, we will do all of these different things in order to try to make ourselves stick to a schedule, to get better about our time management, to make sure that we are staying on top of things. And how many of y'all actually use your planner January through December? I'm not judging because I don't. So I'm just curious. If you do, God bless your soul. That's a special place in heaven for you, because I feel like majority of people who call themselves getting super organized in January and they go to Michael's, or they go to Hobby Lobby and they buy these cute little planners from Target, and we use them maybe January, February, maybe March if we're like really on top of our stuff. But at some point we fall off and we find ourselves right back in the same space. So I wanted to talk about this because what we have to realize is that procrastination is not the problem. Procrastination is simply the symptom. So you can buy a new planner, you can buy your cute sticky notes, you can buy all the things, new pens, Sharpies, highlighters, all of that, but it's not going to fix the issue of procrastination, because procrastination in itself is not the issue. It is simply a symptom. And so we have to, y'all know this is my favorite thing, we have to identify the root. So why is it that I'm procrastinating, so that I can fix what the actual problem is versus just treating the symptom? Because we know that treating a symptom, it will work temporarily, but until you can actually identify what the root of an issue is, at some point the symptom is going to come back. It's not ever going to fully go away. It's just going to be like, it's going to be muted for a little bit, but it's not actually going to go away. So we want to be in a space where, as we're talking about being whole, being healed, and being authentic, we want to address and acknowledge and tackle and deal with the actual problem versus just treating symptoms in our lives, because that's not what we're doing anymore. We want to be whole, we want to be healed, and we want to walk in the authenticity of who God created us to be. And in doing that, it's requiring us to level up. Okay, it's requiring us to do things differently. It's requiring us to be honest with the things that we have labeled as something, as the problem, when in reality it's just a symptom. So y'all all right? Y'all okay? Let's go ahead and deep dive. All right, so one of the things that I posted in this whole carousel about procrastination is that in some circumstances, you procrastinate to avoid having hard conversations, conflict, or doing the work, especially when it's something that challenges you. So let's have a little brief story time, shall we? In my line of work, for those of you who don't know, outside of me being a mindset coach and content strategist, I do work a 9-to-5 job, and a part of my 9-to-5 is being a pretrial officer, which is very similar to being a probation officer. And as a result of that, I don't deal with the nicest people on a daily basis. I tend to deal with people who are not having the best day of their life, okay? And so as a result of that, there have been times where I've been yelled at, cussed at, fussed at, all kinds of things when I ain't got nothing to do. Like, you mad at the wrong person, okay? But I have had some clients who I really did not want to talk to them. So if they called me or if they left me a voicemail, I would avoid returning the call because I did not want to talk to them. And I realized that a part of my procrastination is that I have an avoidant type of personality. And so one of the things that I tend to avoid is conflict. And here's the thing, y'all. It's very interesting because when I say that I avoid conflict, it really depends on the day. So I have a type of personality that is, we on one side of the spectrum or another. I've said this before, we don't do happy mediums well. I don't know why, I don't know what that's about, but I'm literally either on one side of the spectrum or I'm on the other side of the spectrum. So for the most part, I am not a confrontational person. I am not the type of person who is going to encourage a confrontation or go at it head on. Every once in a while, however, I'm like, oh, let's go toe to toe. I have the time, I have the energy, let's get it. Very rare occasion, not a typical reflection of my personality, but it's literally, I will completely avoid it, or I'm like, you said Let's talk about it. No, keep that same energy. I'm matching energy. So with that being said, most of the time I am more so like, I'm not here for the rah-rah. I'm not here for the yelling, fussing, cussing, all of that. Like, that's not my nature. That's not how I approach people. That is not how I engage in conversation. And so I don't like when people engage in conversation with me like that, because that's not how I talk to people, and that's not how I want to be talked to. And so I've realized that when I am procrastinating, it is a result of me avoiding things, and specifically when it comes to avoiding conflict. And so I know in a previous job that I had, I remember I got so behind because I was avoiding calling this person. And then I looked up one day and it's like, Angel, it's been like 3 weeks. Like, baby girl, I'm gonna need you to make that call. And the reason why I was putting it off was because of, so this is what I've realized for myself. Confrontation, when it becomes like aggressive, or the loud yelling, fussing, cussing, all of that, that triggers anxiety for me. And when I get to a point where I feel very anxious, I shut down, and it just makes me feel like, it makes me feel really uncomfortable. And so that is a large part of why I avoid conflict. Another thing is when I am in a space where I feel like I'm being attacked, I don't know how to explain it other than like all of my thoughts and everything just kind of get jumbled together. And so like what I want to say, I feel like it doesn't come out. And so that's another part of the shutdown. And so I've realized that I have been avoiding certain things or procrastinating because I'm avoiding having these conversations. And so something I've had to realize for myself is that, one, the conversation has to happen, especially with my line of work. Like, it's frowned upon if we don't return phone calls. So I do obviously have to have those conversations. But I've learned that 99% of the time, when I thought that the person was going to be angry, when I thought that they were going to be aggressive, whatever it might be, when we had the conversation, it actually did not go at all how I anticipated. They actually were like in a better mood by the time I talked to them. But I know for myself, if I know that it's somebody that I'm gonna have to deal with that is like a phone call, it's not like an in-person office visit or something, I'm not gonna call them first thing in the morning. Because in my mind, I look at it, I think about it like, if they don't answer the phone and I have to leave them a voicemail, now I'm anxious for the remainder of the day waiting for that call to come in. I don't want to sit with that. So I will wait until later in the day. And listen, we can start this all over the next day, but it's just like having that, it's almost like you are anticipating, all right, when is this going to happen? When is this going to come? Another thing that I've gotten more comfortable with is telling people, you're not going to talk to me like that. You are not going to talk to me crazy. I can't control what people do. However, I can control what I allow in regards to certain things. And so I have accepted more so in this position than I have previously that you're not going to talk to me crazy. I don't care what's going on, what the issue is. That's not something that I tolerate and put up with in my day to day. And just because I'm getting paid to be here, I'm not going to tolerate that here either. And so as I have matured, as I have been in this field for a while now, it has helped me to be more intentional about speaking up for myself and being more intentional about using my voice and really verbalizing what it is that I will accept and what I will not tolerate. And I think a lot of times when we're thinking about procrastination, a lot of us, the reason why we avoid a lot of things is because we have not fully found our voice, and we have not fully gotten to a place where we're able to really talk about how we feel about something, or to really address conflict. We don't like to rock the boat. We don't want to be in a position where we make someone feel uncomfortable, or we don't want to be in a position where we might hurt someone's feelings. But I believe that the more that you communicate things, the better that you get at communicating things, the more those conversations, I'm not going to say they're easy to have, because it's not, but you hopefully are able to get into a space where you realize that, okay, although this is about to be uncomfortable, although I don't really want to do this, I don't like it, it has to be done. And we're adults, okay? we can't run from everything that is hard. And you have to also understand that there are going to be times where even with the best of intentions, the hard conversations may not go the way that you would like for them to. The person that you're talking to may not see things from your point of view, which is perfectly okay. That is fine. But we have to get to a place where we don't keep avoiding things or putting things off for the sake of trying to keep the peace, because you end up procrastinating and you still have this tension. You still have this anxiety that you're dealing with because you still haven't dealt with what you needed to. And so with procrastination, we have this idea that by putting something off, it's putting us in a position where it's like, I don't have to deal with what could potentially be the negative consequences or just the overall feeling that I'm trying to avoid, because I'm not actually dealing with it right now. Listen, I say this all the time. I'm gonna say it one more time for the people in the back. Just because you choose not to deal with what's dealing with you, that does not mean that it stops dealing with you. It's still gonna be there, it's still gonna linger, and the more that you prolong it, it just prolongs that tension. It prolongs that heaviness that could be lifted by simply just having the conversation. The next thing is sometimes you procrastinate as a way to protect yourself because you believe it will soften the blow of failing because you really didn't give it your all. Let's stay here for a minute, guys. Let's talk about this. We feel as though if I really put my all into this, if I really take the time to do the work, if I really take the time to show up, if I really take the time to give it my all and it fails, whoo, I'm gonna be too through. Like that is really going to hurt my heart, because it's like I gave it my all and it didn't go the way that I wanted to. And so we can put ourselves in a position, this little mind game that we play with ourselves, where we try to convince ourselves that, okay, if I put it off to the last minute and it doesn't go as well as I thought it would, I can at least say that, well, if I would have given it more time, if I would have given it more effort, if I would have given it more energy, then maybe it would have been successful then. Why not start there? And listen, I get it. I have been here at some point. There are even times now where I'm still here, but what we have to take into consideration is that we can put ourselves in a position where we end up self-sabotaging. Come on, somebody, let's talk about it. Because we don't take the time to show up fully with the thing that God has called us to, or the thing that He has told us to do, because we're so worried about failing that we don't actually show up for it to be successful. We end up sabotaging what we actually want because we're so concerned about it failing. And it's like you haven't even given it a chance to be successful. You haven't even given it a chance to see it through because you've already decided that it's going to fail, or you've already decided that it's not going to be good enough. Imagine if you put the same amount of effort in believing in yourself as you do doubting yourself. Imagine if you put that same amount of effort into actually doing the work and seeing it through and showing up fully, showing up authentically as you, showing up prepared, showing up and doing the work. Imagine what would happen, because so many of us, we get so caught in the prepping stage, we get lost in the prep stage that we aren't even able to see something come to fruition because we have already talked ourselves out of it in the planning and preparation stage. But what you have to understand is that the longer that you put something off, you're not going to know if it will be successful because you haven't started. And guess what? When you don't start, you don't finish. So you have to take into consideration that while you are in a process of building something, while you're in the process of starting something, while you're in the process of launching something, don't sabotage what God has already placed on the inside of you while you are thinking of how it's going to fail, while you're thinking of how it's not going to work. We have to get out of this mindset of it's more likely to fail than it is to succeed. We always tend to go left instead of right. It's like we tend to get so caught up in our heads and thinking about all of the what ifs, the this, the that's, and the forths, that we don't even realize that we become stuck and we rest at this plateau of, I don't even want to say mediocrity, because it's not even a thing of you being mediocre. It's more so of you settling at good enough. so that you're great, you're excellent, you're awesome, you're magnificent. You don't have to worry about that failing. Why do y'all want to be okay at being good enough? Come on now. Like, do we really want to be at a place where we say, all right, that was good enough? Or do you want to be at a place where you are really showing up fully as who God created you to be, and you're showing up fully in a space where you are giving whatever it is that you have been called to? You are giving it your all. You're not worried about, is this going to fail? What are people going to think about it? What they're going to have to say about it? We don't even realize how we are allowing ego to keep us in a place where we end up sabotaging. And while we're here, let's go ahead and jump into this as well. Can we talk about the inconsistency? Is it too soon? Are we too deep in this? Like, should we not? We're going to do it anyways. Listen, procrastination and inconsistency are two of the biggest ways to self-sabotage. Because what you have to realize is that if you are inconsistent with what God has trusted you with, you have to question what you believe about what God trusted you with. Being inconsistent is a reflection of what you believe about what God has called you to. Can we break it down? Can we make that make sense? If you are inconsistent with what God has called you to, that is a reflection of what you believe about what it is that He's called you to. If you truly have faith in something, if you truly believe in something, if you truly believe that this is what God has called me to, and He's going to use this to help people, to serve people, to encourage people, to empower people, whatever it is, whatever the purpose is, whatever the reason is, how dare you sit on that thing? If you truly believe that what He has called you to is significant and impactful and has the ability to heal, help, empower, encourage, and transform the lives of people, how dare you sit on it and be inconsistent with what He has placed on the inside of you? And listen, this is not for everybody, because I truly do believe that there are people that God has given them a word for something. He has told them, revealed to them, this is what I've called you to, this is what you're going to do, but this ain't the season for it. I'm not talking to y'all, okay? You know if I'm talking to you. You know if you are in a place where you are still questioning your worth, your value, your qualifications of who it is that God has called you and created you to be. You have to understand and accept the truth that you are qualified. You are capable of doing the things. You are capable of having the hard conversations. You are capable of dealing with the hard things. You are capable of doing the work. You are capable of seeing it through. But you putting it off, you procrastinating, hear me clearly on this. It does not change those truths in any form or fashion. Just because you're not willing to fully walk in it right now, just because you're not at a place where you realize it, the fact that you procrastinate, it does not change the truth that you are qualified. It does not change the truth that you are called by God. It does not change the truth that God has placed something on the inside of you that is necessary for such a time as this. It does not change the truth of who it is that God has called you to be, what it is that He has called you to do. But you know what it does do? It prolongs you realizing that. Because here's the thing about procrastination. The longer that you procrastinate, the longer it takes for you to see that, hey, it could actually work. It could actually be everything that you want it to be. It could actually exceed your expectations. But as long as you stay stuck in this place of, I don't know if I'm good enough, I don't know how to start, I don't know this, I don't know. As long as you stay in that place where you have all the reasons why it's not going to work, why you can't do it right now, you're never going to get to the point where you're able to see all the reasons why God created you for this. You're never going to get to the point where you're able to see all of the things that God has created you for and how He will get the glory out of that, because you're so focused on how is it going to work? How is it going to look? What are people going to have to say? And so instead of allowing God to be the one who is leading and anchoring you, you're focused on all of these other outside factors that don't matter, that have no weight in this thing, okay? Have no foot in the fight. So I share all of that to say, don't get so caught up on what the end result is going to be, because first and foremost, you're not going to know what the end result's going to be until you get there. And so you can come up with all of these different ideas, thoughts, plans, and everything, and it can still look differently. Don't get stuck there, and don't get stuck in this space of fear of failure. But, which brings me to my next point, procrastination is not always tied to a fear of failure, because sometimes your fear is not failing. It is actually being successful. So here's the thing about growing, stretching, maturing, becoming the woman who you've always wanted to be. What people don't talk about is it's kind of scary sometimes because you're at a place where you have been doing the work, right? So you're not who you were 6 months ago. You're not who you were a year ago, 5 years ago. And as you are getting to a point of actually seeing the things that you have wanted, seeing the things that you have prayed for, to actually see those things to be a real tangible possibility, we can unintentionally end up sabotaging that because we feel as though, one, I didn't even know that this was actually a possibility. It always just felt like a dream, or it always just felt like something that was for other people but not for me. Or you are getting to a space where it is requiring you to show up differently. So you are learning how to do things differently. You are treating people differently. Your mindset is different. You are doing the work. And as you are growing in that, as you are maturing in that, it can become scary at times because it's like, okay, I'm like really out here. Like I'm out here. And I don't even know like where to go from here. I don't know what's on the other side of this. All I know is that I'm being obedient. I'm giving God my yes. And I'm out here, God. And I feel like it feels like this is the best way that I can describe growing and fully becoming who it is that God has called you to be. It almost feels like, it's like you're walking on a mountain and you know that where you're standing at, it's like the end of the mountain. And if you were to look down, you don't see none, it's just black, okay? Because it's so far to fall, right? Because you've been growing, right? And it feels like with every step that you grow, with every step of you walking outside of your comfort zone, every step of you choosing to do things differently, with every step that you're breaking generational curse, you go to take a step and it's scary because it's like, God, I don't see anything else here. And you're walking, but you know that you're at the end of the mountain. So it's like you're putting one foot forward and it's like, nothing's going to catch me. And then it's like the mountain like starts to edge out a little bit. And so your foot is still on solid ground. Does that make sense? Like I need to create some kind of visual on this. It's like it feels like you're taking steps. You don't know what's beneath you. You don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know what the outcome is going to be, but you just know I'm supposed to do this. And so I'm going to walk, even though I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what I'm doing at times. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm giving you my yes, God. I'm going to be obedient to you and I'm going to go. I'm going to take the leap. And as you take the leap, God creates more land for you to walk on. He doesn't let you fall. He creates more land for you to walk on. And it's literally like he is creating this path for you and he's making the path as you choose to say yes and as you choose to continue to walk. And I share that because there is this sense and this feeling of, God, I'm stepping out into the unknown and I feel like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm doing right now. And that can feel very scary. It can feel very overwhelming because not even overwhelming, it just feels like, what am I doing? I don't know. And you're in a position where you are showing up differently. You're in a position where it requires you to level up. It requires you to level up on so many different aspects, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all the E's. It requires you to level up. And for some of us, the reason why we have not given God a yes to the thing that he has told us to do is because we realize that, okay, God, if I give you my yes, this is going to require me to show up differently. If I give you my yes, this is going to require me to show up in a way that I have not done so before. And that is scary because I know that if I give you my yes, that this is going to put me in territory territory that is very unfamiliar to me. And for those of us like myself who are used to being able, when you're used to being able to kind of figure things out, you're used to being able to have some kind of idea of how things are going to work, how things are going to go, you get comfortable there. But when you get to a space where it's like, okay, God, I don't know what we about to do. I don't know what this is about to look like, but I'm just going to trust you with it. We just going to see what happens. Like, I'm not going to see it for myself, but we going to see what's going to happen together. That is a scary place to be in at times. But there's something so significant and so beautiful about that season of really just trusting God and really just stepping out. This took a turn. This is really about procrastination, but it's also about trusting God as well. But it's something that's really powerful and significant about being in that space of giving God your yes and really being willing to say, okay, I don't know what your plans are. I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. I don't know how to make sense of this. I don't know what this is going to look like, but I trust your plans. And I know that even when I can't see what's beneath me, even when I don't know what the outcome is going to be, I know that you're creating the path, and I can trust the path even when I can't see what's underneath my feet, even when I can't see where I'm going, even when I don't understand what the vision is. I trust the path because I know the one who's creating the path. And I share that because trust me when I say, I know what it feels like to be in uncharted territory. I know what it feels like to be in a space where you don't know what you're doing. It don't make sense. And you literally just be like, okay, God, we really out here. Like, I'm out in the middle of the ocean, no life jacket, and I can't swim. Like, what we doing? I know how scary that can be, but I want to encourage you and I want to challenge you to give yourself permission to really live like you trust God in the way that you say that you do. And to really be willing to allow Him to stretch you in ways that are uncomfortable at times, to stretch you in the unknown, and to be willing to lay aside and to let go of all of the different things that have kept you in one place. Because as God is stretching you, there are parts of you that don't need to go where you're going. And it's not that they can't go, they don't need to go. And so there are some things, mindset-wise specifically, that you carry that are actually limitations for the next season that God is taking you to. And I don't want your small thinking. I don't want this procrastination. I don't want this space of feeling like, God, it has to be like this, or I'll give you my yes as long as it's like this, and I'm not ready. I don't know what people are going to think. I don't know what people are going to say. Laying all of that aside, laying all of that down and saying, okay, I don't know what this is about to look like. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I know that this is what you called me to. So let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it. And so I want to encourage you, for those of you who struggle with procrastination, we've talked about it a lot today. Don't focus on it simply from a time management perspective. Focus on, why am I really procrastinating? What is it that I'm actually avoiding? What is it that I'm actually doing by procrastinating? Because I can almost assure you it's deeper than that. It's deeper than a time management thing. You don't need a new planner. Let me go ahead and save you some money. You do not need a new planner, honey. You don't need new printables. You don't need cute stickers for your happy planner. You need to address the mindset issue that is keeping you in a place of self-sabotaging, because that's essentially what we are doing. You have too much on the inside of you. You are too powerful, you are too gifted, and you are too qualified for you to sleep on you, or for you to play around and not actually show up fully as who God has created you to be. We can't stay in a season any longer where we continue to prolong what it is that God has placed on the inside of us. It's time for us to fully show up. It is time for us to fully be who God has created us to be, and to do so in a way where we can do it confidently, that we can do it in a way that we trust His provision, that we trust what it is that He's doing even when we may not understand it, and to also know that He's never going to set us up for the okie doke. He's not going to put us in a position where we're out here looking crazy just for the sake of looking crazy. Like, there's always purpose attached to everything. And so, yeah, I just want to encourage you that if you are someone who struggles with procrastination, take the time to really do a self-assessment and figure out, like, okay, what's really going on here? What's the tea, sis? Like, what is really going on here? Because there is more to it than just a time management thing, and we have to address the problem and not just the symptom, because the symptom, we can address that, but ultimately it's not going to solve the problem. So we have to identify what the actual root is to identify the problem. And let me also throw this one in here for free, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. Another thing when it comes to dealing with procrastination is also looking at it from a self-worth and self-value thing. And so sometimes we put off fully walking in who it is that God has called us to be because of that feeling of not feeling worthy and not feeling like we are actually good enough for what it is that He has called us to. Listen, there's I guess you call it a meme that says, honey, you're overqualified, but let's start off humble, okay? You are more than qualified for the things that God has called you to, and we can't prolong it anymore. It's time, sis, okay? So I hope that this was helpful for you all. I hope that you enjoyed. As you all know, make sure that you share this episode with a girlfriend who has a procrastinating spirit on her. Go ahead and share that with her. And until next time, don't forget, be whole, be healed, and be authentic. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into A Change of Heart podcast. I hope you were encouraged, and please take a moment to share with a girlfriend, and don't forget to download the episode. Lastly, I would love to connect with you. You can follow me on Instagram at Angel C. Walston and at A Change of Heart podcast. Have an amazing week, and don't forget, be whole, be healed, and be authentic.